Hello everyone, this is Kshiti and I'm gonna present some course on the topic Introduction to Programming through C. So this question arises in everyone's mind like why should I learn C? What's the point of learning it? So here comes the answer. C is most popular language because it's simple and quite easy to understand. Like it's designed in 1972, but even till date people do use it just because it's very powerful topic, and it's generally said that if you are good in C, then you can learn any other programming languages quite easily. And most of the electrical appliances they have microprocessor embedded in it, operating system, all those stuffs, and these and the program embedded in such devices are written in C. So his name is Dennis Ritchie, and he's one who designed C language, and it's designed in 1972. And even he have written a book of C language. You can go through it. It's explained explicitly. So there are several steps in learning C. There are steps in learning C. First one is you need to have good hold in. Obviously, everyone know alphabet, digit, and special symbol. So A to uppercase A to Z and lowercase A to Z, and even digits 0 to 9, and even special symbols like plus, minus, asterisk, all those symbols, and white spaces, they're also known as blanks. And all these symbols, they constitute variable, constant, and keyword, and which in turn constitute instruction, and instructions which are made up of in programs are made up of instruction. So this is the sequence of learning C. And what's constant and what are variable? Constants are entity whose value doesn't change, they're fixed, whereas variables they have varying values. For example, here 10 is the value of the 10. Suppose there's a number 10, you want to store 10 in memory location. So 237 so 4 is the name address of the memory location, whereas I is the name given to memory location, and this is known as variable name. So as human brain have millions of cells to save information. In the similar analogy, computer calculated value that are stored in memory. Since value stored in each location may change, the names given to this location, hence they are known as variable. Hence this you can change the value given to this name. So this is varying. These are called as variable. So further C constant, they further divided into primary constant, secondary constant, and primary constant is further divided into integer constant, real constant, character constant, whereas secondary constants are divided into array, pointer, structure, union. So we'll go through secondary constant in the upcoming video. For timing, we'll just concentrate on primary constants. So integer constant. What's integer constant? An integer, these are the rules to have an integer constant. First one is it must have at least one digit, and it shouldn't have decimal point, and it can either be positive or negative. You shouldn't use commas or blanks within it, and the range of integer constants are from minus 32,768 to 32,767. So over here there are there are further classifications of integer constant. So this short signed integer, short unsigned integer, signed integer, unsigned integer, long signed integer, and long unsigned integer. All these things there are further classification of integer. Whereas in signed integer, it consists of both positive and negative numbers, whereas in unsigned integer, short unsigned number, it consists of only positive numbers, so it's from 0 to 65,000. Whereas signed integer, here it comes again, it ranges from minus to plus, whereas unsigned, it's only positive, only positive numbers are constituted in it. And similar case over here, minus 0 to 429 496 295, and even this number. So please remember this format specifier. Generally integer constants, they're denoted as %d, and in some of the cases where you want to have very long numbers, you can use this one, %ld. And then this is the second group. This is known as real constant. So they must have at least one digit, they must have decimal point, and it can either be positive or negative, and default sign is positive. Now commas are allowed within this. See here, these lines, they are partition, like you must not confuse it. And 426 3276 and minus 48.5792. So there, if there is decimal point in between, then it's known as real constant. And here are some real constant. It's float, and it ranges from these values, and even double and long double. All three, they belong to real constant. And the format specifier you need to use is %f. I'll speak about format specifier in upcoming videos, in upcoming slides. I'll explain the application of it. For time being, just remember it. Float, %f, whereas long double and long float, and the ranges of value you can enter in this float, double and long double. And then comes character constant. Character constant in the sense, it must be inverted with a single inverted comma, that's it. And the maximum length is 1 character. And the examples are given here. And it's further divided into signed and character and unsigned character. So signed, it consists of minus 128 to 127, whereas unsigned, it consists of only positive numbers. And this is the format specifier, %c. So in C, there are keywords. So keywords are the words whose value are already defined in C compiler. For example, in the sense, you can't assign it as variable. You can't change the value of these keywords. If you write break and if you give it as a value as 10, it's not acceptable, because all these words definitions have already been explained to compiler. You can't treat it as variable, like only some of the compilers allow it, but generally it's not allowed. And there are 32 keywords in C, and it's safer not to mix the variable name and the keywords. So they're also known as reserved words, and they can't be used as variable name, because if we are trying to assign new meaning to keyword, it's not allowed by the computer. So you shouldn't use these words as a variable name. So let's move into first C program. It would be good if you have any of the downloaded C compilers like CodeDocs, but it's okay, even you can go through online compiler. So here it says every statement must end with semicolon, and all statements are entered in small case, and no blanks are allowed within variable. So let's move to our online compiler. So I use REPL, and then go over here, click on C, create REPL, and it gets created. So here it is. So I've said you about variables, right? Okay, let me start. Hash include. I'll explain about variables when I enter it. So hash include stdio.h. This is known as header file, and it's very important to put this as this is one inside this header file there lies printf function, which is required for outputting the value. So there are 15 header files in C. It's over here. There are 15 header files in C, and it includes most of the preprocessor, includes hash, includes statement. And to use any of the standard function, you must include header file. And stdio, it should be at the beginning of source file, because definition of printf, it's already found, it's in stdio. So if you want to get output, then you must go for this preprocessor directive hash include stdio.h. And most of them have .h as their extension, and they generally reside in hash include subdirectory, and there are total 15 header files in C. This is hash, and then whenever you create any of the project, first you must go for header file. There are if you want to clear your screen, you must use hash include conio.h, conio. It's not studio. Most of them mistaken it as studio. It's stdio.h. And next is you must include main function, and inside this function you can enter your values. For example, over here, if your program doesn't return any value, then you must go for void, but it's not available in this compiler, so I am using int over here. So it's okay even if you go for int. So we'll go with simple program that's printing hello world. So printf hello world, and this is okay. And then if whenever you write int function, make sure that you write return 0. So here it comes the output. So I have written here printf hello world, and here comes the output. So for example, what if I go for something like this? So I have said you about variables, right? A variable name is combination of 1 to 31 alphabet, and even alphabet digit or underscore what might, you can enter any of these three. So some compiler allow variable name whose length can up to be 247 character. So it's okay. So it's generally safer side to look into, to assign variable name shortening state, because you'll be using it very frequently in your program. And do not create long variable name unless it adds to your typing effort. So first character must be alphabet or underscore, and you shouldn't use commas or blanks in between variable name, and you shouldn't use any other special symbol, like for example I exclamatory mark is equal to 10. This is not allowed, and you can't even use any other symbol like this. It's not defined. So int I. So you can use underscores too. So this I will assign I as an integer variable, and I have assigned I as the value of I as 10. So I've said about format specifier in previous slides. So %d, it's a %d is a format specifier for integer variable. So in order to print the value of I, you must use %d. And here it gets printed as 10.